Okay, picture this. June 25, 2025. A really beautiful black and white photo pops up online. Keith Urban, Nicole Kidman, 19 years married.
Yeah, and the caption right. Happy anniversary, baby.
Exactly. It felt like the ultimate confirmation, this perfect image, this whole story they'd built about love saving the day, overcoming addiction, all of it.
It was the fairy tale ending, playing out in real time. Until it wasn't.
Right, because then, just 3 months later, September 30th.
Boom. Divorce papers file in Nashville. Irreconcilable differences. Super quiet, almost procedural.
But what followed wasn't quiet at all, was it? The narrative flipped instantly.
Instantly. It wasn't, oh, they grew apart. No, the story that immediately flooded everywhere was betrayal. Specifically, his betrayal.
Allegations that Keith Urban flirted with other women, that narrative just exploded.
And completely overshadowed the carefully crafted image of the saved, grateful husband, which is what makes this whole situation so fascinating.
Absolutely. Welcome to Starscope Report.
Join us as we dive into Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and, those viral influencer scandals.
We try to get behind the headlines, from the red carpet shocks to the social media meltdowns.
And today, we are dissecting this Kidman-Urban divorce. How that fairy tale basically imploded into a full-on PR war centered on this idea of betrayal.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand why this betrayal narrative hit so hard, we need to look at how the whole relationship was framed from the start.
Yeah, the foundations. It's all about what some sources are calling the savior-saved dynamic. That was the core of their public story.
And maybe its biggest vulnerability, too, it seems.
Definitely seems that way now.
So cast your mind back. They meet in 2005, G-Day USA Gala. She's Hollywood royalty, basically.
Right, Kidman. And she apparently felt this instant connection. But Urban, he was a rising star, but, dealing with his own stuff. He even said he felt insecure, like...
A guy like me, wasn't that the quote? Like she'd never go for him.
Yeah, something like that. But she was apparently pretty certain. The story goes, he showed up super early one morning, 5 a.m., with gardenias.
Okay, classic romantic gesture. Seals the deal. They get married in 2006.
But then, just 4 months in, everything erupts. Urban's issues with alcohol, cocaine. It becomes a crisis.
And Kidman steps in, stages an intervention.
Sends him straight to Betty Ford. 3 months. That single act really cemented her role. Publicly, at least, she was the rescuer.
And Urban ran with that narrative for, almost 2 decades. He constantly talked about how his addictions nearly destroyed everything, how she blew our marriage to smithereens, I think he said.
He did, and he always credited her with saving him. Said she chose love.
The most intense quote, though, has to be, "I was born into her."
Right. I mean, that's heavy. It's more than just romantic language. It's like this public declaration of dependence, almost. A debt.
And you see how that sets up this
Right.
imbalance, right? She's the strong savior. He's the eternally grateful one.
Exactly. Which is why these new allegations, the flirting, the potential affair, why they land so powerfully, it's framed not just as breaking a marriage vow, but as...
like the ultimate betrayal of the person who saved you. Ingratitude on a massive scale. It hits that psychological contract they built.
Absolutely. And think about the pressure cooker that creates, for both of them, really. Living up to that born into her ideal, that's immense. What happens when the dynamic shifts?
Well, that's the perfect transition, isn't it? Because sources suggest the dynamic did shift dramatically.
If you're finding these Hollywood twists interesting, maybe hit that subscribe button, because we've got more coming.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. Okay, so the shift. Let's talk about resentment, her career resurgence, and maybe some whispers from the past that suddenly got a lot louder.
So the headline for this part could almost be like the Big Little Lies effect.
Okay, explain that.
Well, after their daughters, Sunny Rose and Faith Margaret, were born, Kidman made a conscious choice, right? Moved the family to Nashville, stepped back a bit from the constant Hollywood grind.
Yeah, they had those famous rules like never being apart for more than 3 days, always voice-to-voice calls, no texting, prioritizing stability while he was touring like crazy.
She was the anchor. His career was arguably the main focus for a long stretch there.
But then, Big Little Lies.
Exactly. That show was huge. It catapulted Kidman right back to the global A-list. Suddenly she's in everything, winning awards, massive profile again.
And she talked about how good it felt, right? Amazing and very happy about having a career again.
Yeah. But according to sources close to them, this is where the problems really started to surface.
Friction.
Friction. The claim is Urban wasn't as supportive as she hoped. That old dynamic, her focus supporting him, got flipped.
And observers started saying maybe he couldn't handle her sudden being in demand again. Professional resentment, basically.
It sounds almost like a Hollywood cliche, doesn't it? The guy's struggling when his partner's star starts to shine brighter.
Sadly, yeah. But it provides a motive, a reason for the cracks to appear in that perfect facade. The balance was off.
Right. And this simmering resentment, this potential motive, it collided with something else. History. Or at least historical whispers.
You mean the old infidelity rumors?
Yeah. We have to mention the Amanda Wyatt allegations from way back in 2006, right after they got married.
She claimed they'd had an affair that went on right up until the wedding. Urban's camp denied it all, of course.
They did. But Wyatt gave this quote back then that now seems kind of chilling. She said, he'll probably do it again.
Oof. Yeah, that definitely hangs in the air.
And even if you dismiss those specific claims, that incident created a precedent in the public mind. So when these new rumors surfaced in 2025...
people could immediately connect them. It wasn't just out of the blue. It felt like potentially a pattern.
Exactly. It gave the new claims instant credibility, at least in the court of public opinion. And it wasn't totally silent between 2006 and now either. There were those, low-level rumors around 2015, too, linking him with younger singers.
Chelsea Ballerini, Sierra Black, those names were floated around.
Right. So you've got this backdrop. The old suspicions, the new tension from her career. Boom.
Hmm.
And then came this one really public incident.
The song lyric.
The song lyric. A few words changed in what was supposed to be their song. That's what really seems to have lit the fuse for this whole PR battle.
And that leads us straight into the money, the prenup clause that turned their whole history into a weapon. We'll get into that explosive detail next.
Stay tuned and, yeah, hit subscribe if you haven't already.
Okay, so the final straw, or maybe the first public shot fired in this divorce war, it seems to trace back to a concert in September 2025.
Right. And it wasn't the divorce filing itself that caused the immediate media storm. It was this moment, seen by many as a huge misstep by Urban.
He's performing The Fighter. Now, this song is important because he publicly called it a vow to Kidman, inspired by her support, by their story.
It was their anthem, essentially.
But during this concert, he changes a key lyric. And the change seems to reference his guitarist, Maggie Baugh, who's like 25 years old.
Instead of Nicole.
Instead of Nicole in their vow song.
The optics on that are just terrible.
Terrible. It was immediately framed as this shameless, symbolic act, like publicly disrespecting the vow, the marriage, everything.
And it poured gasoline on those rumors that he was involved with someone younger, someone in the business. It gave people something concrete, something public to point to.
Okay, so that's the emotional catalyst. But then comes the financial hammer blow, the detail that really solidified Kidman's position in the public eye. The prenup.
Oh, yes, the prenup. Not just any prenup, though. This one had a very specific, very unique clause related to his sobriety.
Define that.
It basically said that for every year Keith Urban remained sober and drug-free, he'd be entitled to $600,000.
Wow. Okay. And he stayed sober after that 2006 intervention, the one she staged.
For 19 years. So you do the math. $600,000 times 19 years.
That's over $11 million.
For $11.4 million, to be precise.
So wait, she stages the intervention that arguably saves his life, his career, their marriage. And now, because he stayed sober thanks to that intervention, she potentially has to pay him over $11 million in the divorce.
That's the narrative being pushed, yeah. Now, legally, you could argue the clause was smart protection back then, maybe even an incentive.
Sure, from a legal standpoint. Protect your assets, maybe give him a reason to stick with it.
But the irony now, it's devastating from a PR perspective. And Kidman's camp has used it brilliantly.
How so?
Sources close to her are emphasizing how deeply betrayed she feels, that her act of salvation back in 2006 now comes with this massive price tag attached to the divorce. They're calling it rubbing salt into the wound.
And it works, doesn't it? It connects her past sacrifice directly to his alleged current betrayal and makes the financial penalty seem incredibly unjust. It paints the whole thing as a morality tale.
Completely. And this whole PR campaign has been incredibly one-sided. Kidman's team has been masterful. Constant messaging about her being the victim, didn't want this, still shocked. All signs point to Keith being with another woman. It's been relentless.
Yeah, an urban side.
Almost total silence. No real counter-narrative. So every action he takes, ditching his wedding ring quickly, staying on tour, gets interpreted through the lens provided by her side.
Makes him look callous, guilty, even if we don't know the full story.
Exactly. Even small legal details get spun, like the papers naming Kidman the primary residential parent for the girls. That reinforces her image as the stable one, the devoted mom holding things together.
It really shows in these high-profile splits, controlling the narrative is everything. The side that tells the story first and loudest often wins the public perception battle.
So when you break it all down, this isn't just a celebrity divorce. It's like watching the careful deconstruction of a myth. That fairy tale of redemptive love didn't just end.
It was taken apart piece by piece, and all those pieces, the intervention, the sobriety, her career support, they were repurposed, turned into weapons for the divorce court and, maybe more importantly, the court of public opinion.
It really makes you think about the stories celebrities build. They're architectures, in a way. And when they collapse, it's not just about who gets what. It's about who gets to write the final chapter, who controls the legacy.
In this case, the narrative of strength betrayed seems to have completely replaced the narrative of salvation. The PR war effectively rewrote the history.
And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? In these intense savior-save relationships, how do you actually protect the rescuer? Legally, psychologically.
And what's the fair outcome when the person who is saved ultimately breaks that unspoken vow of gratitude? Is there a price for that kind of betrayal beyond the legalities? Deep questions.
Definitely something to think about.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.